Alright, welcome back. So where we were in the last one, we were learning about making points and sabotaging your opponent, not allowing him to come out. Okay, in this tutorial, I want to teach you about what's called a prom. Okay, ideally at the end of the game, you want to make a perfect prom, so your opponent cannot win the game. Okay, so whenever you have 2 points next to each other, with more than one checker, where it's not vulnerable to being hit, we call it a prom. Okay. Now there's 2 classic examples of a perfect prom. A perfect prom would be, I've brought my men around from your home board into your outer board, into my outer board, into my home board. Okay. So this would be a classic example of a perfect prom. You're totally stuck.
Yeah.
You can't play a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, or a 6, whatever you roll. So I've got what's called a perfect prom. Okay? So even if I've got checkers, they still have to come around and come inside. That's fine, I'll bring it in. And eventually I'll have to break the 7 point and allow you to get out. So let's say your would look something like this. But you're pretty much stuck behind my prom. Now, because I've opened my prom, now you could play a 6. So ideally you'd want a double 6 to get your men out and around.
Let's see if I could roll that double 6.
It's a 35 to 1 number.
Yeah.
But even if you rolled 1 6 to start coming around, that also wouldn't be great.
Yeah.
Because what I could do is if I rolled, say, a 3 2, for example, I could go 1 2, 1 2 3, and put you on the bar.
And then I'll be able to never come out.
You couldn't come out until I start opening points. But by that stage, you could never win the game. You could never come around and bear off as quickly as me to get my men off the board. So the 2 examples of a perfect prom is you're completely stuck, or I've got a complete closed board and you've got 1 man on the bar. So what would happen is I would say roll 6 5, take bear 2 off, roll say 6 3, so I'd have to break my 6.6 3. Now you can carry on coming.
And then the whole time it's going to be difficult for me to roll a 6. But if I was to roll a double 2 like this, then I would be able to come out.
No, you can't come on because you blocked 1 2. You can only come on a 6.
Yeah.
And eventually it would be a situation where you could come on with a 5 or a 6. But by the time you come on, this game is over.
Then I have all this to cover.
You've got to come all the way around, put it in, and get your checkers off before me. So all I'm basically teaching in this tutorial is to try and prime your opponent in as much as possible. Ultimately get a perfect prime.
So that's 15 against 2.
Play. Yeah, well, it's my 15 checkers against your 2, which have to come around. So you pretty much got no chance of winning the game. So your objective would be to prime your opponent in. So this would be a perfect prime, and an even better prime would be this, where you pretty much dead and buried.
Yeah.
You can never win the game. So if you manage to build a prom against your opponent, you will beat your opponent. There's no coming back from a prom.
Okay.
And that's why, just to recap quickly, when we went to making points, I know it's a little bit of repetition, but it's just so important that, so when making points, so say for example, your first outer point, maybe an inner point, maybe another inner point, to prime your opponent in.
Okay.
To sabotage him completely, that he cannot, it's unplayable.
Yeah.
And that pretty much takes care of proms. There's just one other thing I want to show you. Where you can never ever make your opponent make a prom on you. So say for example, you roll a 4 2. Okay. And I roll, say for example, a 3 and a 1. 1, 2, 3, and I come here. Okay? And you pretty much, your board pretty much looks like this. And I can see that if you make this, you've got a perfect prime on you. So what my objective would be is to try and make this point in your home board. That you could
So
never make.
These 4 men.
Well, you can never make a perfect prime because at best, your board would look something like this. Okay, so you're coming in, but you can never prime me out completely because I'm holding a point in your board. A perfect prime would be this, where everything's blocked. So, as a defense mechanism, I would try and make a point in your board, whether it's this point or this point, any point, that you cannot prime me out completely.
Understood.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It could even come into a situation where something like this. Now you roll, say for example, a 6 and a 5. Okay? Now you can't play the 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because I blocked it. But you have to play a 5.
Yeah.
So you could play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in. Or you've got another 5. You could play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But now this gives me a chance to come back into the game. Because maybe by holding a point in your home board, I might get the opportunity to hit you, send you back where you've got to travel all the way, the whole distance around back into your home board. So very often when you see somebody priming you in, you can actually eliminate him from making a prime. So as long as your mindset is, okay, he's winning the game, I can't get out of him making a prime, but there is a way. I'm just going to make a forward point. We call it an anchor. When you've got a point, it's called an anchor. And from pretty much any position. I mean, I've played millions of games where, for example, Black's winning the game by miles.
Yeah.
And Red's basically missed. So, if you hit me at a point, if you manage to hit me, say for example, at any point, then I would have to come on a 1. Now you've primed me in, so I can't carry on.
Yeah.
So although you're winning the game, for 90% of the game, things can happen like you can roll a double 6, for example. Now you've got to play 4 6s. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now all of a sudden I've got a 2 at you. So
then you roll it and then boom.
So now I'll roll the 2. Now the whole game's changed. Because now you can win the game. Because what will happen is ultimately you'll be inside. Okay? I'll have to start bearing off. So from you winning the game, for 90% of the game, now all of a sudden you're losing the game. So you've got to just be careful when you are making a prime. Or let's say I'm making a prime against you. Try and use 2 of your checkers to get an anchor on one of my points that I cannot prime you in completely. And you can pretty much win the game from any position. Okay? A lot of the time it's unlikely, but it happens.
Yeah.
And when you play, I mean, I can sit and play backgammon for 8 hours, 12 hours. And you'll be amazed at how many times from winning positions you get into a losing position. From losing positions you can get into a winning position. Okay? And that's where later on, after this entire beginner's course, we're going to do an advanced course. Where I'm going to introduce something called the doubling cube. So now when you're playing for money, or when you're playing a tournament, whether in South Africa or anywhere in the world, you can go anywhere in the world. And there is the option of playing for money or playing in competitions. This cube
can change your whole game.
Can change the whole game. Because you might give me the cube, for example, on 2. Now, I own the cube. You can't double me again. If I manage to turn the game around somehow, then I could always double you to 4. And then it's your discretion. Do I take it? Don't I take it? Because now you're losing the game, but you only lose 4 points when you can get out of the game for 2 points and then just carry on the next game. But this is the key to backgammon. This little doubling cube, which we're going to go into in depth, complete depth, later on. Once we know perfectly how to move our checkers around the board, getting hit, coming around, trying to build the perfect primes. When you're playing, especially in competitions, where you have to defend your points, so you're playing first to 21 points, and you don't want the cube to go to 2, 4, 8, 16, it always doubles up and get blown out of the competition in one game. Because like I showed you, you were winning the game, you roll double six, you leave a shot, I hit the shot at the end, and that's how we try and eliminate luck. And the way we can eliminate the luck is I double you to 2. Now you look at your position, for example. So let's say it's pretty much lock. Let's say it's pretty much like this. Now you're already bearing off. I've got to get my men around. So now you double me to 2. Am I going to say to myself, hang on a minute, I can lose 1 point. Am I going to take a chance? First of all, you have to leave a shot. Then after you've left the shot, I still have to hit the shot. So it's not in my interest to play for 2 points. Rather get out of the game on 1 point and we get on the next game.
Yeah. So you said you'll explain the dice a little later. I have some questions about that dice, but it's fine.
I'll ask my question or two now.
So basically, when the game starts, we're playing for 1 point.
We're playing on 1 and the cube's in the middle. So at any stage, you can double me to 2 or I can double you to 2. If you double me to 2, you lose ownership of the cube.
Okay.
You can't double me again.
So the game's mechanics stay the same. It's just the payout changes.
Everything stays the same. The number of points you're playing for. So if you're playing a competition to say 11 points, you can go 1-0 up, or you can play for 2 points if you feel you can turn the game around. But the more we play, whatever, you'll manage to see how we can turn games around and whatnot. But having ownership of the cube is very important. You can't double me again. I can double you to 4. If I manage to turn the game around and I'm winning the game convincingly, I can double you to 4. Now you take the cube in your possession. Now you own the cube. And it's very important to
So if I want to double you, then I'll have to double you to 8.
To 8, yeah.
And then we'll go back in the middle. Then if you accept, you take the dice.
It goes all the way from 2 to 64. So it's 8, 16, doubles up to 32, doubles up to 64. That's the maximum. Okay, on this particular cube, that's 64.
Yeah.
Okay? But when you're playing in competitions or money games or whatever, people aren't just reckless. Especially when you're going to Monte Carlo to the World Championships, or there's a tournament in Prague next week, or whenever you're traveling around the world, playing competitions, playing for money, whatever. The cube doesn't just... You're playing pretty good players. You're playing the best. And I've played the best, I've beaten the best. But I've learned this from A to Z. I didn't go from jump from A to D. I went A, B, C, D. And I had to lose a hell of a lot of games and competitions before I mastered the cube. So when it's actually better to play a good backgammon player than a weak backgammon player. Because a weak backgammon player will just chance his own. He'll just try and get this cube to as high as possible. Okay? Whereas if you've got 2 strong players, they'll know where they are in the game. The cube should never really go to 8, to be honest. So, pretty much out of 100 games, okay, we could play 100 games. We might not even finish 99 games. Because you could be winning the game and you double me. And I don't want to be in that game. Yeah. So for example, let's take this position. So you black, I'm red.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to be in this game. Where maybe I'll get a shot, maybe I won't get a shot. I don't know. Like if you roll 6-4.
Let's see what I roll.
Okay. No. I want you to roll, for example, 6 and a 4. So now play 6 and a 4.
6 and a 4. So this is my 4 out, and then that's 6.
Okay, but now you're making yourself vulnerable.
I'm making myself vulnerable, yeah.
So let's say you played your 6 first. Now you can't play this 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because I occupied.
Yeah.
You don't want to leave 2 checkers open, so you would probably play 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now all of a sudden I'm sitting with a cube. And I can hit you and win the game. But when it's in this situation, so it was, okay, so when you're in this situation, and you say to me, hang on a minute, I've won this game, I double you to 2. it'd be hell of a stupid for me to say, hang on a minute, maybe he'll roll a 6-4.
And then go for it.
And go on the basis on a 6-4, which is a 17 to 1 number. Or I might even get a shot later on like this. I could hit you and win the game from here. So I'm certainly not going to take the cube on the basis of maybe I'll get a shot, maybe I'll hit the shot. I mean, that would just be crazy. Rather drop the 1 point, get out of the game, start the next game. And that's why the game, that takes the luck out of backgammon. Because if you handle the cube correctly, as I say, it should never go to 8 and 16 and whatnot.
8 to 64.
And you can eliminate all the luck out of the game by using the doubling cube. Because, you know, if I was playing you in a competition or for money and whatever, you would be delighted if I took this cube. Based on, okay, maybe I'll get a shot, maybe I won't. And once I do get the shot, maybe I'll hit it and maybe I won't. Because I'm not favourite to hit it. Yeah. Even if you take the 6 and 4 like this, and I've got a 4 to hit you. Yeah. Out of 36 combination of the dice, there's only 11 4s. So you're still 2/3 majority to win the game. And that's where this comes in. It's important. But this we'll study at length. Because this is backgammon. This will take all the luck out of backgammon. People say chess is a skillful game, which it is. Backgammon, skillful game, which it is. Texas Hold'em, I'm not sure. They say the skill. I don't know.
Texas Hold'em, you have to go with your gut.
I don't know. I know backgammon.
Yeah.
I've played backgammon for 30 years. I love backgammon.
Yeah.
And all the luck can be eliminated, which is a positive. It's great. It's not gambling. Yeah. It's strategies. It's all strategic. And that's what we're going to discuss in our next tutorial.
All right, cool.
Okay, great.